things keep picking up for the Washington Wizards. Again, with this final roster spot still in flux, one recent article highlighted a fairly dire need for the Wizards, and there have been multiple names surfacing around the NBA, but one recent trade report out of Milwaukee highlights a perfect target that has been linked to the Wizards in the past. We're going to dive into all of that, plus look at ESPN talking about some big trades that are upcoming, and look, there's no surprise that they mentioned the Wizards in the same sentence. We're going to dive into all of that coming up on this episode of Wizards Digest, but also don't you guys forget that we're here literally every single day with the latest news, rumors, reports, all the latest Wizard stuff, all season long, baby. 80% of you are still not subscribed. We're less than 100 away from 1,000. Thank you for being here. Let's start with, I don't know. It's kind of tiring. I have to admit. But ESPN, they voted on which star is most likely to request a trade next. And to no one's surprise, Anthony Davis tops this list. But it's what they had to say about it, Nick. That's just it's getting me a little upset because it just feels like they're stirring up a lot of drama, and it feels like they're adding stuff that maybe we didn't hear before. Davis and the Wizards are essentially opening the season on a trial period. I guess. Anyway, Davis and his agent, Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul, haven't been coy about their desire for a maximum, or close to it, contract extension. Now, a lot of this comes from Rich Paul himself, not necessarily Anthony Davis, who, to be fair, has been doing a lot to, get us to like him. He's been working a lot with the team. It's looked really good, but I feel like this narrative is starting to get tired at this point. However, I know the fact that where there's smoke, there's fire, and I suppose every time we talk about this, there is some credence to it.
Yeah, and we're approaching the regular season now. We'll have a better idea, obviously, after 20 games where things actually stand, but from an outsider's point of view, if you're writing an article on stars most likely to be traded, I'd probably put Anthony Davis up there as well, just because of the fact that, again, a lot of it will depend on the money. And will the Wizards want to pay him that much money? I highly, highly doubt it. But you look at some of the other names in the list as well. They all kind of make sense, but I'm sure some of the other fan bases don't love them all either. Kyrie is there. There's no signs out of Dallas that they want to trade him. Kevin Durant could make some sense. I definitely would put Kevin Durant ahead of Anthony Davis. So I don't know about number one, but it goes to show that it's going to be a very telling first half of the season.
Jaylen Brown being there is kind of wild too. I can't lie, that's a bit of a strange one. But just goes to show, don't put any seriousness into this list. It is ESPN. It's fair that Davis is there somewhere, but look, we'll move off of this pretty quick because we want to get to some interesting trade talks. Now, there is one position on the Wizards that has been highlighted in a recent article as a position of need, and that position might not be one that you expect. Well, we've been talking a bit about maybe a power forward, third string center, something like that. This article dives into shooting guard, and it'll be linked down below. This is from Andrew Oliveros, Pounding the Rock. The Wizards have plenty of talent, but one position remains dangerously thin. With Jameer Watkins expected to miss most of the season, Washington could use another true shooting guard. Now, if we take a look at the depth chart, the immediate reaction, at least for me, is that we have Keyshawn George, we have Tre Johnson, and Will Riley's not like a pure two, because we know he's going to kind of play all around. It's interesting. Trey Mann also is not really a playmaker, so he could probably play some spot minutes at the two, but there is kind of a point, especially when you consider, hey, what if one of Keyshawn George or Tre Johnson get injured? And that was kind of the point of this article. It's like, okay, what if one gets injured? What do you have then? Again, I think you could move some stuff around, but there's one name, Nick, that kind of popped up recently. And just today, Jake Weinbach tweeted, AJ Green should continue to be viewed as a possible trade candidate in Milwaukee, as they have 17 players currently on the roster. Now, this is a guy that we've seen in trade talks with the Wizards before. This is from June. Here's a trade that makes sense for both teams. Bilal Coulibaly get a second for AJ Green. Now, let me be clear. I don't think I would do this trade. I think that's kind of crazy. You're really selling low on Bilal Coulibaly if you do that. And they kind of dive in deeper here, saying, look, the Wizards traded away a lot of their shooting last deadline. There's a lot going on here. Milwaukee does this deal because they love the defensive upside. But AJ Green, Nick, is a guy that I really like. And as much, I don't know if I necessarily agree that shooting guard is the most pressing need for this team at the moment. But a guy like this, who is straight up one of the most lethal shooters in the NBA, is not unwelcome in any locker room.
Yeah, and the article talks about how they moved off of Middleton. Obviously, Middleton's back now. But one of the interesting things about it is, the trade of Bilal for AJ Green probably doesn't make a ton of sense for the Wizards. Now, something to keep in mind, AJ Green is a very, very good player. And you look at, let's say hypothetically, the upcoming trade deadline, there's a very real chance that let's say a team that trades AJ Green in the Bucks, they're probably going to get more than the Wizards would if they traded Bilal Coulibaly because AJ Green is that good of a shooter. He shot almost 42% from three last year, is a very solid defender as well. And he is really elite at shooting, and 3-and-D players don't grow in trees. Now, for the Wizards, do they have anybody that can play like that? Yeah, maybe not to the degree of the off-ballness that the Wizards have, but they do have some obviously amazing shooters. So if they want to pair just an off-ball bench slash could even start, player with the team now, yeah, you could do it. But giving up on Bilal, it's not like they have a ton of depth. I mean, you could look at the depth chart. In theory, one backup small forward. A lot of these guys are positionless, so that kind of matters a little bit less. But I don't know. I really like AJ Green. I wouldn't do it if it's Bilal for him, but I do think if they could get AJ Green at some point, it definitely would make them a significantly better team. He might take away some minutes from a lot of the young guys, which sure, but AJ has a clear, role, and that is shooting the ball. I don't know if they need to do it though. I can guarantee there's tons of other teams that probably need him a little bit more.
Yeah, they need him a little more, but the thing is here, the Bucks might not have much leverage. So they might just want to field all the offers they can get. Teams will say you need to make a trade because you have 17 players on your roster. Who's going to offer them the most? And the Wizards still have some draft capital you could give up, but and then that last one again, that Bilal trade, that's not what we're looking at here. We're more so looking at the fact that people have said, hey, Green could be a good fit for the Wizards in the past. And I can't necessarily disagree. Like you said, we do have good shooters. Like, there's a lot of guys here. Bub Carrington was 40% from three last year. Sean George, 38%. Tre Johnson, while the percentage maybe isn't that high, we know how unbelievably talented he is as a shooter, and I think that percentage is just going to go up and up, especially with a guy like Trae Young running the point and a guy like Davis to take some gravity. So, there's a lot of solid talent here, but Nick, a guy like AJ Green, to me, is the kind of shooter that you see on these championship caliber teams, right? He's a guy that fits on any team, and let's just go back to his shooting chart. This guy shot over 400 above the break threes. Like, the sample size is ridiculous. He shot 39% on 426 above the break threes. And from the corners, he shot about 48% on over 150 attempts. Unreal stuff. Terrible at the rim. 20th percentile. To be fair, he only made 16 total attempts at the rim. But again, my main problem here is that it just adds to this roster crunch, which is something that I have been very clear about wanting to avoid as much as I like him as a player. And I think he fits with any team in the NBA. I think this kind of player is the guy that you're like, okay, well, we can move some stuff around to fit you in. It's just, if the Wizards want to win now, I think it makes some sense. But the problem is, I wouldn't give up Bilal for him at all. But figuring out what you would give up for him, I think, is going to be the part that just maybe steers the Wizards ultimately clear.
Yeah, they it might be a year too early or 2 years too early to go after a guy like this. But if Will Dawkins sees him as a critical part and something that the team needs, this would be the lowest or the best time to buy low on AJ Green. Not because he's having a bad year, but because the Bucks have minimal kind of leverage at this point. So it is an interesting one. I don't love the Bilal fit, but I do think it would take a haul similar to that, and that's why it's probably a little bit less likely.
Yeah, 4 years, $45 million as well. So like just a bit over $11 million a year. And if you're not sending salary back, you're then in the luxury tax, and it's like, well, they're not going to do that. So you do need to send a player out, and picking that player is like, man, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's a tough one. Would you guys trade for AJ Green? Is he the kind of guy you'd like? Because I just think that he's the kind of guy that any team would like to have. But if you're Washington right now, do you even agree that shooting guard is a position of need? Because if George and Tre Johnson stay healthy, then you have and you get AJ Green, then you have three shooting guards that are all kind of vying for that starting spot. So it's a bit of a mess, but it's interesting. It's fun to talk about, and we hope you guys enjoyed talking about it too. Leave all your thoughts down below. That'll do it for this episode, though. Thank you for tuning in every single day. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Nick Gosse. We'll catch you in the next one.